Tony got to stand next to a Major League Baseball player yesterday and was startled by how large O'Neal Cruz is.
Where you guys been hiding this guy? I mean, Dan, standing next to him, I'm looking at him, I'm like, this dude could play power forward in the league. That's how big he is. He's massive. They have him at 248. He's not 248, by the way. He's like 260, 265. Easy. But everybody on the Dominican team, I'm looking at him like, damn, Sandy's huge. Holy shit. Albert Pujols is huge in a different way.
Well, the reason he's been hiding is because he's in Pittsburgh. That's
he's a pirate.
Sneaky good team this year.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. That's not true in any way, Jeremy. The Pittsburgh
Couldn't make a wild card run.
Pittsburgh
really good pitching.
Pirates are never any good.
Okay, all right. Let's come back to this in game 162 and see if they're sniffing around that wild card race.
Put that next to the Washington Wizards playoff run of next year. File that one away.
These predictions that you guys make that no one's going to remember because
I didn't say they were going to make the playoffs. I said they were a good team. They were on the right direction.
And go through that file and please throw away any of the Orlando Magic takes that I had from a few months ago.
Dave Damashek will hold me to it. I'll tell you that. He's been talking to me about the Pittsburgh Pirates since January.
I wasn't alone with those Magic takes, but I'll take the fall.
You weren't alone. But, Tony, you just corrected yourself on what you alleged to have said about the Wizards by saying the Wizards are a good team. They're not a good team.
Oh, I said they were heading in a good direction.
No, you just said a
Dan,
second
he's early.
ago.
He's not wrong. He's early.
Thank you.
You said a second ago that they were a good team. It just came out of your mouth. It wasn't not there. It wasn't a good direction. It was. I'm listening to what you say. You're not listening to what it is that you say. You said
that might be fair.
I don't think anybody else was listening to you either, from what I can tell. But I don't want to talk about the Wizards. I don't think, Jeremy. I want to talk about the Pirates. Either is O'Neal Cruz named after Paul O'Neill because his father was a major leaguer. Roy is nodding his head vigorously. Yes, I didn't realize that you were watching Pirates baseball this way. But Roy seems to know that this is absolutely so. I was asking the question. I'm not sure it's so.
I believe I heard that on MLB The Show, last year's edition of the video game.
And
Boog said it.
As like a tidbit?
No, thank
That's
you,
a
Boog
tidbit.
Shambi.
You just retained it. It just stayed there in your head somewhere.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
And so Tony comes in and is like, where have they been hiding this guy? Meanwhile, you know his entire family history.
Basketball is back, Jack. Time for our favorite winter sport. The summertime is over, so let's head down to the court. Time for the tip-off. Give me fast breaks on the attack. Will you shoot a three or take it to the rack? Basketball is back, Jack. It's a dream shake down in the post, or a killer cross you love the most. When the offense tries to run and gun, is it man-to-man or box and one? It's big plays and talking smack. That's how you know that basketball is back, Jack. Let me hear you say basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. 360 dunks and pick and rolls. And we're gonna watch it every day till they raise the Larry O. Hard fouls and hook shots. A dagger three and hack a shack. If you say this game's the best, I'll say's a gag. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back. Basketball is back, Jack.
Over the years, as the audience has heard my increasing exasperation with how strong and instant takes have gotten, okay? And I really don't know how you can have a very strong opinion on Malik Willis, but I am seeing a great deal of very strong opinion on both sides on the Dolphins getting Malik Willis.
It's hope.
That's part of it. It's also encouraging that they actually have a plan. Yesterday, 24 hours ago on this show, when I was saying I thought that Malik Willis was where it is that this was headed after they waived Tua, you had mentioned that people were talking about Arizona as his favorite destination. They have the better skill players. Tua ends up in Atlanta now. They have the better skill players. But the opinions on Malik Willis range from Chase Daniels saying, quote, Malik Willis is worth it all for the Dolphins.
He was on his tip.
The film is so much better than you think. Timing, touch, and anticipation. Mina Kimes says he's got a cannon, incredible dual threat quarterback. Incredible is very strong. But here's Dominique Foxworth on the other side of this.
This isn't the best option out there, but of the available options, it seems like he's going to have a legitimate chance to prove himself. The problem is this team feels to be obviously in a rebuild, and they're hampered by the big dead money on the Tua contract, and he's going to be limited. This team is going to be limited. The expectations are going to be a little low for this team, and the support that he enjoyed in Green Bay when he had those few successful games over the past couple years, that's not going to be there. We're not sure that Bobby Slowick is a good offensive coordinator. We haven't seen Waddle carry this offense alone. HN, we know, is an explosive big play running back. The offensive line has issues. The defense has issues. And we started with the offensive coordinator. You have a first-time head coach. The offensive coordinator is unproven. The more I examine this situation, it might be the best that you're going to get if you only have a small sample size like Malik Willis.
Zaz, what is your opinion here?
I think they went from super boring and definitely going to be terrible next year to very interesting. The Dolphin fan now every single week has something to watch, hoping that this guy is going to be their franchise quarterback and that they found a gem at a very good price. I mean, the Dolphin fan has never, Tannehill was able to run a little bit, but not like this. The Dolphin fan has never witnessed a dual threat quarterback. They've never had the guy who can run and make the fun, explosive plays.
You had Snoop Huntley for a little bit.
Okay, what are you doing there? But
Fiedler was sneaky.
Pat White would like a word.
But the other side of it for me is, man, I thought this front office was going to be a little bit patient with this rebuild. This is not patient at all. This is very impatient.
No, I don't think this is impatient because they're in handcuffs, right? You can say it's a good contract because it's essentially 2 years, $45 million. You can get out from under it if it's a mistake. But you're paying for the quarterback position next year about $90 million because you've got so much dead cap money in Tua. And because of that dead cap money, you have to align it so that if this is a mistake 2 years from now, you're okay.
That's a good point.
You have to get someone cheap because you're paying a lot. You're paying at quarterback more than the Chiefs are paying Mahomes by a good amount because you've got two quarterbacks that you're paying a lot next year. And in a salary cap sport, while he represents only Malik Willis represents only 7% of your salary cap, which is where you'd love to have a great quarterback at value, the amount you're paying Tua makes it so that this front office is in handcuffs. And this is the best of the available options. I would have preferred Kyler Murray, but a guy coming into a system with people that he knows is something that does create that hope you're talking about. A couple of things that I want to point out, though. He couldn't beat out Will Levis in his first 2 years at Tennessee. He only had 92 dropbacks in Tennessee and was terrible in Tennessee. Couldn't beat out Levis. Now, people are excited about Green Bay, but that's a conservative offense, okay? That's a run-heavy offense, and they had a good offensive line in Green Bay. So he was very good down the field. In terms of explosive plays, people have run the analytics and say if you take the sample from him in Green Bay and put it out over the entirety of a season, it's the best quarterback in the league because of how he throws the ball downfield accurately. But I just don't know how you can have very strong opinions for a first-time starter in year 5 who's taken all of 302 snaps in 5 years.
Loads of bad tape at Tennessee. And I was a huge Malik Willis guy when he was at Liberty. Touchdown connection with C.J. Daniels. He was awesome at Liberty. and I thought he was going to be one of the best pro prospects. And he went in to the league, got opportunities with a bad Tennessee team, admittedly, and he straight up could not throw the ball. They did not trust him to throw the ball. Forget downfield. They didn't trust him to throw the ball 4 yards. And he was available for Green Bay on the cheap for a reason. And it took him a while in Green Bay.
I think they traded a 7th for him, right?
Yeah, it took him a minute in Green Bay, and he started because Jordan Love's been in and out a little bit, but last year was really encouraging and a testament to that being a development position, him learning the NFL a little bit, and those numbers downfield are really impressive. In terms of hope and the Dolphin fan perspective, you're really excited that they had a plan. They executed it quickly. You thought that this year would be a wasted year. No, you actually got one of the top 2 quarterbacks available. You have hope in the front office because they executed a plan and made Miami somehow desirable for a top 2 quarterback. And you have a big variable in Malik Willis that could go either way. Like, the ceiling's really high with him.
Are the Dolphins falling into a trap that Miami Heat does to other teams where they're like, we're going to develop this guy who's going to be really good for us, but then when you get to your team over there and you pay him a ton of money, he's not going to be that good, right? Like, are we worried that Green Bay's development system, and obviously they don't do free agents, they don't do trades, like they draft and they develop. Like, that's their MO. And it's like, is that happening with Malik Willis where you're going to get here, he has none of the skill players around him, and like, oh, who is this guy?
I really like the point you made about, Dan, about the timeline with essentially it's 2-year contract. It matches up with the 2 years that the Dolphins
It's really limiting the position that this management team is in as janitorial workers trying to clean up this particular thing.
But it lines up with the 2 years that they're at a major cap deficit because of Tua, and then you can kind of either then you have multiple options. Like right now, the only option would have been, hey, hopefully next year we get a good draft pick. Now you'll have 2 options. Either you like Malik Willis or you'll decide to eventually go into the draft. There's not a lot of precedent for a quarterback who, for 4 years, has been a backup, extremely small. It's not like he got 6-8 games.
Recent precedent, because this used to be how quarterbacks looked all the time at the beginning. It'd be the most normal thing in the world for a quarterback to have to wait 5 years
that's a lot.
to learn the position. But the way that he looked in Tennessee is how my experience with young quarterbacks before the last 7 years has always been. And I also think something that's interesting here is, and another bad position that this management team inherits, the single greatest advantage that you can have in that sport since Russell Wilson was winning the championship in Seattle is you get a good quarterback cheap so that you could build the rest of your team. This is the opposite of that. Not because of Malik Willis, but because of their quarterback situation. They've got a ton of dead money tied in not being able to know whether they still have a quarterback or not. That's usually something that will shackle the entirety of your franchise. You kind of need him to be great, and there's nothing to suggest that he's got the help needed on offense to be great. I want to read you some of these numbers because I want to get your opinions on whether or not you guys pay attention to some of the advanced metrics. This is from both ESPN and Next Gen Stats. ESPN is saying his numbers, Malik Willis's numbers, outrageous in Green Bay is what they're calling them. An 86.3 QBR, 9.2 yards per dropback, a plus 7% completion percentage over what is expected. Those stats would rank all of them first over the past 2 seasons among QBR qualifiers if he did it over a larger sample, and he generated 0.38 EPA per dropback across 24 and 25 with the Packers. That's the most in the NFL. He throws the ball downfield, but I don't think the Dolphins could get downfield without Tyreek Hill. Do you? Do you think the Dolphins can get downfield without Tyreek Hill? Has Waddle proven to you that he's a deep threat without Tyreek Hill?
He is, yeah, and he has. He did play on this team, some without Tyreek Hill alongside him. That's his game. I mean, the thing with Waddle is, can his frame hold up?
His wide receiver core is bad right now.
I haven't watched a Dolphin game where I haven't seen Jalen Waddle limping to the sidelines and being worked on. I don't know if his body's built for this.
One more stat from Doug Clawson, what Malik Willis did in his only start last season. First quarterback all time with an 85% completion percentage, 13-plus yards per attempt, and 60-plus rushing yards in a game. First quarterback since Michael Vick in 2002 with 100 pass attempts, pass touchdown, rushing touchdown, and 0 incompletions in a first half. That's what people are getting excited about. They're getting excited about
New Michael Vick?
One start is what they're getting excited about.
Tiny sample
Michael
size
Vick.
theater.
Minus the bad thing.
Was it against the Ravens? Was it against the? Was that start again? Was the one start against that terrible Ravens defense that was good most or terrible most of the season, good the many seasons before that, and only good when Kyle Hamilton is in their defensive secondary, because these hopes are clinging to something that is a very small sample.
Right. Not a lot. That's what I'm talking about, right? Where there's not a lot of recent precedent for what we've seen or haven't seen from Malik Willis and him becoming the guy they hope he's going to be. But at the same time, I like siding with the people who have the information that I definitely don't have. I'm sitting on my couch watching games and talking here, like a dope, and guys like John Eric Sullivan, what's he ever shown you before? He's never been a general manager. I get it, but like his livelihood depends on the information he has on this guy and being right. And I usually like to side with those people who have that kind of information.
This is a win for the Dolphins because they have a plan at quarterback. I just don't know how much stronger of an opinion you can have than that, because when you say guy can be good elsewhere but not necessarily here, it takes a great deal to make the quarterback good. I don't love the Packers receivers. Do you guys love the Packers?
I love the Packers receivers. The problem is they can never stay healthy all at once, but they are so deep that one guy goes out, you have a revolving door. No, I'm big on the Packers wide receivers, dude.
How about the rest of you? Because I love Jordan Love. I do. I think he is great. But you love Watson. That's somebody that you love.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he's
fine.
healthy, and Dobbs has been good. Jaden Reed is.
He's okay.
Love Jaden Reed.
Are there
Problem
players
is-
that sometimes you love even when they're not healthy? You're like, man, that guy is hurt, and I saw he's still really good.
Yeah, Jaden Reed. He spent most of the year out because he made a diving attempt and broke his collarbone. But Jaden Reed, like whenever you need a play, Jaden Reed is there. No, their wide receivers are really good. They just can't stay healthy, but they're deep, so they can survive it.
There's a lot of B's, right? There's no A guy in the Packers organization. That's the way they do it. They do wide receiver by committee.
I mean, Watson could probably be that if he were just healthy enough consistently.
Sure,
I
maybe,
don't
but
think
like
so.
Dubs is their best receiver.
And they also, who's the young wide receiver that they spent draft capital on?
Matthew Golden.
Yeah, like
that guy sucks.
Yeah, but his separation metrics were incredible.
Well,
How about catch the ball metrics? How about touchdown metrics? How about yards metrics? You didn't get any. How about that?
in that one game against, well, they had two games against Chicago where they collapsed at the end, but Golden had his first touchdown of the season in that game, and they ended up
Week 18
losing it anyway. Again, we used to have patience about this stuff. A first-round draft pick at wide receiver didn't have to be great right off the bat. Randy Moss was, but he didn't even know how to run any routes. He was just running straight down the field. I believe did Randy Moss have 17 touchdowns his first season, and it was all 9 routes? He didn't know how to run any other patterns. I think I've got that number wrong. That number can't be that high. Is it that high? A rookie wide receiver, what is the number?
He did have 17 touchdowns as a rookie.
Okay.
A hell of a recall there,
hell?
Dan.
Yeah, well, that's because it doesn't happen.
It was 9 routes.
Yeah, it was 9 routes, and it was Randy Moss.
Yeah, but he didn't know how to run any other routes. And again, I still smell the nachos on Jimmy Johnson's breath, telling me that John Avery was the better draft pick when he passed on Randy Moss.
I think with Malik Willis, in terms of, I know that this was a wide receiver conversation, but Malik Willis, he had a lot of promise, and he was just straight up bad. And he was noticeably bad because the team straight up did not trust him to throw the ball. And even when he comes in injury relief, while his numbers are very efficient, he's not a volume thrower. The offense straight up does not trust him to throw the football.
But LaFleur runs a lot in general, even with Jordan Love. It's a conservative. He runs a lot, and their offensive line is good. Zaz, what did you make here on social media? The Dolphins may have indeed forgotten the birthday of Tua, but they did thank him on his way out. 4-time team captain. You have called him the greatest bust in franchise history. I think that's wrong of you to say.
Why? Because it's too soon?
No, because he led the NFL in yards per attempt and QB rating in 2022. He led the league in passing in 2023, and he led the NFL in completion percentage in 2024.
Right. They've never had to rebuild, though, because another player wasn't any good on their team. They're rebuilding because this one wasn't good. Guys lost their jobs because this one isn't good. They have the largest cap hit in the history of the NFL because this guy wasn't good. And let me tell you something. Dan, take a look at this thank you note that they put out there, okay? This graphic. Have you ever seen a more pathetic graphic? I mean, 4-time team captain. Dan. Well, 1-time Pro Bowler. How about we just put Pro Bowler? 1-time Pro Bowler. And why are we thanking him? Thanking him for what? They drafted him number 5 overall. They tried to build the franchise around him. They got 0 playoff wins. What are we thanking him for?
Right.
Why is everything a participation trophy?
You're being a little strong in all of your opinions on Tua, and the part that I don't think is fair about it, because I know he was important, I understand what it is that you're saying. Leads the NFL in yards per attempt and QB rating in 2022. Led the NFL in passing yards in 2023. And then his brain gets totally scrambled. And last year, 2024, he leads the NFL in completion percentage. But in there, his brain gets totally scrambled. So what do you do with that? Mike says, I love a guy when he's healthy, don't love a guy when he's not healthy. Tua was playing, and all indications are, from watching what happened to him short circuit, that wasn't a healthy quarterback trying to play last year, throwing bubble screens and everything behind the line of scrimmage. And so you're calling him a bust. And I'm like, how fair is that when you're talking about brain scrambling?
I mean, well, okay, is it only not fair because the injury is brain, or would it have been any injury?
Well, but I don't think you say bust of, like Mike said yesterday when we're talking about the all-time Dolphin bust, he said Yatil Green, but that doesn't count because he was injured. He never played. He was gone the whole time. He never showed you anything. And Mike saying, well, that doesn't count because he's injured. In this particular case, a guy is out there, and obviously we don't have the expertise as doctors with the diagnosis to know enough about concussions, but what we saw indicates, that quarterback's not in any way physically right from the way that he's playing, but it's not an injury that you can quantify or that you can see or that keeps him out, like an ankle, keeps him out temporarily, but when he comes back, you don't know what level of fuzzy he is. You don't know how honest he's being with doctors. You don't know how desperately he wants to get out on the field and is passing tests with, hiding the fact that he is not, sleeping well at night or has headaches or whatever. It's just you don't know what's physically going on in his head, but you're watching the games and you know something's clearly not right because you rarely see a quarterback, like Mike's mentioned, RG3 and Carson Wentz, they had physical injuries that we can point to. Like, they physically broke. This guy was still out there and was mentally broken.
I think you can point to it just the same. And he's also had the hip injuries and other injuries on top of that. But Kyler Murray, I mean, Tua's not even the biggest mystery in this free agent class. I think Kyler Murray is the biggest, mystery because like Tua, we saw him come out the gates. Well, Tua sputtered a little bit. In fact, was pulled by Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he led the league in passing. Kyler Murray felt like a slam dunk. He was an electric football player. And what happened there? Call of Duty?
I think a lot of the commentary from Tua this past year also bothers me. Like, I think a lot of the things that he said, I think a lot of the behavior, throwing the teammates under the bus several times, the stuff even with Tyreek Hill at the beginning of the season, show me the money, of course, and that was before he started to be a bad quarterback, but even then, it was like terribly off-putting. And the whispers of stuff you're hearing behind the scenes with him and Mike McDaniel, who, by the way, like, Tua Tagovailoa, but like, I don't know where that relationship went wrong, but you would have thought that Tua would, like, be thankful every day of his life for Mike McDaniel, no matter what you think of Mike McDaniel as a head coach. Tua should be calling up Mike McDaniel every single day and thanking him for how he helped him in his career.
But I think what happened at the end, is a whole bunch of people who didn't know how to be leaders got swallowed by the things that don't swallow great leaders. And when I say they don't know how to be leaders, they'd never been put in the position where they had to be before. And then at the end, as everything was as I say, the ship be sinking, everybody was trying to blame everyone else for why it was sinking. And so that's where it broke apart, I'm sure, with McDaniel and Tua. McDaniel said when he got here, you guys remember a couple of breathless interviews we did with McDaniel and Tua. McDaniel says, I've never seen a more accurate quarterback. When he inherits Tua, before he's thrown a pass in a professional game for McDaniel, McDaniel says that. And then Tua seemed like a fine leader to us when Chris Cody was next to him fiddling with his strings on his shorts as he was just gazing lovingly into the eyes of Tua because he was saying all the bold quarterbacking leadership things that you'd like fine if it was still leading the league in passing. It wouldn't feel – show me the money would feel far less offensive to you if it had been something that was still leading the league in passing.
Oh, but I didn't like it when he said it. I mean, and he, when he signed that contract, he was still what most of us, certainly myself, believed was still a good quarterback. Like, I thought it was off-putting the moment that he said it. It was strange. And by the way, money changes dudes sometimes. Like, didn't he make some changes in his personal life too? You know, like didn't he get rid of the trainer, the guy who was with him for years? I don't know. It's possible money changes you.
Yes, we did say Fartley. No, nobody noticed. We're gonna be okay.
I think that I deserve to.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Fork came out of your mouth.
Wow.
He did say Fartley. He was on a point, though, so I didn't want to say anything.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you hear it? Did you hear Fartley?
No, I didn't. I was too involved with trying to make my point. Sometimes when I try and make my point, I'm really focused on the thing that I'm trying to get at, and I don't really pay attention to other people. Anyone else experience that sometimes?
Yeah, you just wait and you just think like, oh man, it's my turn to talk.
Right,
next.
I'm waiting for my turn, you know, and that's good because I was feeling a little bit attacked, you know.
Talk, but in your head, there's nothing else happening.
So I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for my turn to get in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's really.
How jacked up is this substation to see Mike Evans rolling around? Just fresh meat for the electrical substation in San Francisco.
You like that move?
They're moving it, though.
They better.
They're moving
They
it.
better. I mean, Mike Evans has been struggling with injury, so where does he go? Let me go to San Francisco. Their physios seem to know what they're doing.
Can I be honest with you? Like, obviously, Mike Evans is a huge name, all right? And there are some other big names that moved around yesterday. Kenneth Walker III, for sure. But, like, am I the only one that's supposed to pretend that I know who all of these names are and the guys who are getting paid yesterday? Like, there's a lot of guys who are getting a lot of money. It's like, I don't really know who that is.
Yeah, there's a bidding war for a guard right now. I'm
Yeah,
like, this one's really
know.
stretching the knowledge.
know.
But there are some big, impactful names there. But we're going to put you to the test later on in the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
we'll run some of these moves by you.
Oh, that sounds a little bit like maybe big move or not a big move.
Exactly
That's
right.
exactly what that is.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about there. All right. I was surprised, though, with the Malik Willis move yesterday from the Dolphins because I felt that this is a team, like, I don't love the idea of paying a quarterback when your team is going to be bad. Like, Dolphins are still going to be bad, okay? And I don't love the idea of paying a quarterback when your team is bad. I mean, I just said yesterday, I believe the only two ways that you could win with your quarterback is either being a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback or he has to be on a good value. And the Dolphins have a guy who's, like, kind of in the middle now and not a good team around him.
My concern is what I've been hearing, and not to make it about a certain other franchise, but what I've been hearing around here for weeks is like you don't want to be in the middle. And that's what the Dolphins have been for about 30 years. And the thing you could look at with Willis is like high upside, right? Even though he's a few years into the league, you can convince yourself on a project this isn't signing maybe Kyler Murray or another kind of middling quarterback where you're going to win games and there's no hope. If you win a bunch of games with Malik Willis, cool. But I would have thought this is like the perfect time for 1 year to tank, right? Isn't that what everyone is saying is what a good franchise would do?
But the quarterback class isn't assumed to be a really good one.
In a year from now?
Well, yeah, next year I guess it's a little bit better.
It's supposed to be really good.
But I'm talking, yeah, okay, I get you. I think that maybe this is a good year to try to take your shot with a high ceiling quarterback.
That's why I'm
see
good
if
with
we
it,
win.
is the high ceiling part of it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was, those are pretty impressive stats. I think some of that is funny. if you watch these games, he doesn't exactly blow you away. He's not winning these games, and often, like, he's efficient, but he's also not being trusted, which scares you. But I think they did about as well, especially when you consider.
have to be good with it because of what you're saying there, Mike.
Yeah.
This is the best of the options. It's either him or Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray is older.
And they're in cap hell. Like, immediate decisiveness from a front office that you want to believe in, and I think they, right off the bat, gave you a reason to be optimistic about them.
To be honest, I think you probably could have gotten Kyler Murray at a cheaper number, right? Because he's already washed goods, and it's just like,
they're eating money, and there's offset language, so Kyler Murray's going to sign for the minimum somewhere, I would assume.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you would have gotten him for less money, and you could have had an escape hatch of like, all right, this isn't working, we can go figure something out next year. The problem is, when you bring in a Malik Willis to kind of be a piece that surrounds your team and gets you to the next level, like, you need the pieces that are surrounding the quarterback. Like, the Dolphins don't have that. They don't have the offensive line. The defense is in shambles. Like, they don't have anything. So how do you look at this guy and scout him perfectly to be like, all right, he's the quarterback of the future when we don't know what we have around?
The problem would have been, though, if they signed Kyler Murray and you win enough games to be out of the Arch Manning race, you'd be infuriated. At least theoretically with Malik Willis, if you do that, it's because you're getting flashes of a high-ceiling quarterback. But I will say, like, if you go 6-10 because Malik Willis is just okay, and you've committed this money to this guy, and you play yourself out of the ability to get that top-tier quarterback in the draft next year, it feels like a strange decision to me.
They should play that 17th game, though.
That was a good joke to interrupt me
6-11.
with. The middle that Jeremy speaks of there, I don't think the Dolphins have been in the middle. The Heat have been in the middle. The Dolphins have not been in the middle. It's not just not winning a playoff game. They haven't made the playoffs that often. Like, I think they've been a below average team for 30 years, even as I understand what you're saying, that 7-10 last year feels like it's in the middle, but they haven't, in those 30 years, it's not just that they haven't won a playoff game. They haven't gotten to the playoffs a whole bunch and then lost. Like, they rarely get to the playoffs, and I actually think that when you're saying they've been in the middle, I think of the Steelers more like that, the middle, where Mike Tomlin's always having a winning season, but they get to the playoffs and they can't get any better because they're just stuck there. And it's what Jimmy Johnson said. What is it? The enemy of great is good.
I think what Jeremy means is in the middle of the draft, right? The Dolphins seem to find their way being bad in the early part of the season, and then just being good enough in the middle to end part of the season to destroy any draft capital that they would have going into the future. So I think that's what he means is the middle. It's like they're always drafting 14 to 16 and getting the third best guard.
Over the last decade, they average 8 wins a season. That's quite literally the middle. They're just a tick under 500. They draft in the middle of the first round every single time, and while they don't have enough success to make the postseason, that's difficult. That's more difficult in the NFL than it would be in the NBA. There are only the 6, now 7 teams that make the postseason. They've been averaging 8 wins a year.
Yeah, for the last 10 years. And that is what is the result of 15 years before that. Because it's 15 years before the 10 years that you're talking about. 15 of them. So it's 25 years of not winning a playoff game. But Zaslow said something about this brain trust. He said that they have info I don't have on Malik Willis. Why are we not extending that same grace to the Miami Heat, as all of them seem to say our team isn't what the record indicates now that Tyler Hero is back, and whenever Norman Powell comes back, he's probably going to be coming off the bench, I guess. Because the way the ball is moving now, this is your core, and Norman Powell is here to help that core. I think they need a player that's better than Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, but what this team has been with Norman Powell as its best player isn't what it's been the last few games with Tyler Hero playing that way, getting, Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and Bam Adebayo playing the way they've played over the last 10 games.
I'm sorry, Zaz. I think they've been extended plenty of grace because this is the same stuff that they've said for the last 2 seasons.
3 seasons.
Yeah, I get maybe this year they can be right, but it ultimately will end with a team that doesn't get out of the first round.
That's what it is for me too. It's 3 straight years they're saying the same thing. Like I'm trying to extend some grace to the new Dolphins brass because they have more info than me. But if Malik Willis for a third consecutive year is not any good, I'm not going to extend them that grace anymore.
The previous 2 years, they had Jimmy Butler. Like the first year you're talking about, they were coming off of.
But they were wrong still.
They were coming off of a finals appearance, and then Jimmy got hurt in the play-in game. Then the following season, he sabotaged the season, and now they have a completely new system with a completely new roster. And that team is trending in the right direction. A team that's sitting, 1 game out of 5th place?
And you know what? Like, I get what you're saying, and obviously I trust the Heat implicitly, but man, like, let's also include the 23 season where they went to the finals. We're talking then 4 straight regular seasons that they're a play-in caliber team, and like, what history in the league is there of that? A team that every year is a 7 or an 8 seed, but man, they're really better than their record.
You can hold out hope and say, like, this year it's going to be different, but you're chasing. Like, this is fact-based. They are a play-in team. They have been for an Olympiad. That's who they are. And they've been saying the same thing time and time again. Maybe they can do the thing that they did a couple of years ago, get hot and shock the world.
Bill Simmons says he's horrified.
That's
by the way
horrified.
that
He's got PTSD.
That's
horrified.
horrified.
PTSD.
What is he?
My God.
That's energy. That's Godzilla type energy for Jeremy. Is Bill Simmons being nervous about the Miami Heat?
Felt
a time
so
honored
good.
tradition.
Nervous about who?
It's my favorite day of the year. My favorite day of the year is the day in the regular season where Bill Simmons is officially afraid of the Miami Heat. It happens every year.
What do you think of, and we're going to get to some sound here in about 5 minutes that I've never heard come out of a baseball player's mouth about a teammate. We're going to do this in 5 minutes. But what did you think of what the NBA decided with Terry Rozier yesterday?
Well, I don't think the NBA decided anything. That's my main problem. The NBA, predictably, Adam Silver, predictably, did nothing. You know why? Because Adam Silver is what, Tony?
Nothing.
He's a nothing, all right? The Charlotte Hornets decided, we're going to give you a second-round pick, and let's consider this case closed. Like, hold on a second. Why are the Hornets giving the Heat anything? The only reason they would give the Heat something is because they must have done something wrong. If you didn't do anything wrong, why would you give the Heat anything?
Hey, hold on. Sometimes you can settle and be completely innocent.
Okay, this is not a court of law, and no one's being sued. The Hornets are just giving the Heat a second-round pick. So if something wrong happened, why isn't the NBA stepping in and giving the Heat their pick back?
You don't think that they were a guiding hand throughout this? I assume 3 parties, the Heat, the NBA, and the Hornets, were all collaborating on a solution.
That is how Barry Jackson put it in his tweets.
Why does there need to be a solution if there wasn't something wrong that happened? Did something wrong happen? Because if something wrong happened, the Heat should have their pick back.
Guilty.
It's murky. There is a victim here.
It's really not.
There is a victim, but was there intent? I think all that stuff matters.
The intent is don't figure out that he was throwing games. Yeah, let's try to trade him before everything comes out.
The intent is if you're aware that the FBI is looking into a player, you let the Heat know. That's the intent. Did they do that? No.
It's a cover-up. It's literally a cover-up. They're covering up what happened.
No, it's a nothing is what it is. You have a commissioner here who is a nothing. He's a nothing.
Is it over? Like, is there going
That's
to
how
be...
settlements work.
It's over.
So Zaz says that it's not the NBA doing that, but you think the NBA was just totally hands off with this? Like,
Well,
you
I
think
mean-
Charlotte just decided, you know what? I feel bad about this. Many, many months later, I'm going to just send this second-round pick
Hey, we
over
were
there.
wrong.
You know, look, our general manager, Brother Teresa, he's feeling guilt, and he wants to just send you a second-round pick because it was unfair what happened to you. You think the NBA didn't have anything to do with that?
Why was it unfair? Well, if it was unfair, he should get the first round pick back. Why was it unfair?
Guilty.
It's not we're going to give you a first round pick unless he's being investigated by the FBI and then you give us back a second. No one agrees to that.
You look better today.
on the calendar, Formula One is back in Azerbaijan despite its reputation for tight corners and narrow roads. F1 is putting a sprint race in Baku. On Saturday, Charles Leclerc is fearless in pole position as the sprint begins. But at the start, London boy George Russell delivers some karma to Max Verstappen, making him a move to push him wide. Max is red, but George says, don't blame me. Number 22, Yuki Tsunoda clips the wall and loses a tire after just 2 laps. At the restart, Sergio Perez has a lead with 5 laps left. It's time to go. Checo wins the sprint race, but Max and George have bad blood when the race ends. You guys see what I'm doing yet? Will there be vigilante shit on Sunday?
This
Max,
is amazing.
You need to calm down because it's lights out and away we go in Baku. Sparks fly, and Verstappen is driving like he's in a getaway car and pulls out into the lead. Long story short, Nick DeVries has a glitch and a safety car ensues. Perez is in the lead after a slew of pit stops, but he's not out of the woods yet. The one driver, Max Verstappen, has speed, but that's when Sergio Perez says, bye-bye, baby. As the race ends, Esteban Ocon goes into the pit, but the mastermind race organizers have let press onto the treacherous pit lane. This is why we can't have nice things. 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton finishes 6th. The last great American dynasty, Haas, finishes out of the points, but today was a fairy tale for Sergio Perez. Verstappen finishes in 2nd, which is better than revenge. 1-2 for Red Bull is nothing new. They don't have champagne problems on the podium, but the anti-hero Max Verstappen is only ahead in the Drivers' Championship by 6 points. Fernando Alonso and Taylor Swift rumors are swirling. Long live Formula One. Max Verstappen has won the Drivers' Championship, but we still have 4 races to go. In Austin, Daniel Ricciardo rides a horse named Horsey McHorseface into the paddock. Zach Brown accuses Christian Horner of cheating, and Fort Lauderdale's own Logan Sargent will join Williams in 2023. During quali, Carlos Sainz takes the fastest lap while his teammate Charles Leclerc takes a grid penalty. Martin Brundle gets snubbed by Brad Pitt. Tim Apple doesn't know how to wave a flag. 440,000 people are at the Circuit of the Americas. It's lights out and away we go. On turn 1, Max Verstappen gets ahead of Carlos Sainz, and Sainz tries to recover, but gets hit by George Russell. The Spaniard is out of the race before the 1 lap is even over, and Russell takes a 5-second penalty. Valtteri Bottas' race ends early, and a safety car helps out Charles Leclerc for once. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll get in a massive collision, and debris is everywhere. Lewis Hamilton, on hard tires, leads the race with 10 laps to go, but the Flying Dutchman cannot be beat this year. It's Verstappen, Hamilton, and Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel battles to the finish in his final USGP. Baby Lando finishes 6th, and Yuki gets a point. Red Bull wins the Constructors' Championship for the first time in 10 years, a day after their founder's passing. People are crying, there's champagne flowing, fireworks are popping off. Everything is bigger in Texas, Dan, except for F1 drivers.
Yes, it's time for the F1 minute here, even though I want to hear that sound
gave it
again.
away?
Je suis stressé pour les minutes de Formule 1. J'ai besoin d'énergie. Énergie.
Let's go, energy.
Oh, energy.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Circuit Paracas pour le Grand Prix de France. Les températures élevées sur le circuit signifient que la gestion des pneus va être essentielle. Charles Leclerc, le pilote automobile monégasque, fait face à Max Verstappen pour la première place. Le pilote Ferrari doit gagner pour rester dans les championnats. Mais non! Quelle horreur! Une catastrophe! Sacré bleu! Charles Leclerc sort de la course! Encore de la malchance! Il est fini! Une honte! Max Verstappen prend une grosse avance. Lewis Hamilton, le pilote Mercedes, est 12e. Carlos Sainz, l'autre pilote Ferrari, a commencé à la 19e place, d'où sa pénalité pour le changement du moteur. Et les roues contre roues avec Sergio Perez, mais l'imbécile de chez Ferrari recommence. Max Verstappen a fini premier de la course. Carlos Sainz est le pilote toujours. Lando, l'enfant Norris, a terminé 7e. Lance Stroll a terminé avec un point. Félicitations, Mike Crack.
Huh?
Wow! Oh my God!
Holy shit! Holy
Merci,
shit!
merci.
Oh my God! Was there an imbecile in there? Did you say
Les
imbecile?
imbéciles de chez Ferrari recommencent.
That sounded so exciting. I have no idea what happened.
Les pauvres Charles Leclerc, les pauvres.
My God, that was incredible.
That was
I
really
am
good.
so
Merci,
jealous that
merci
you can do that.
Christophe, merci Guillermo.
Well, the music ran out, but I think you should, because we didn't have an F1 minute today. I think you should give people Lord of the Rings minute. Yes, I think you should give people.
Spoiler alert or no spoiler
Dangerous
alert?
game, man.
Dangerous game because of what?
To us, you can spoil as much as you want. So I say go for as many spoilers as you like.
All right, I'll give a spoiler of what happened at the end of the last
Hold on.
episode.
Let me get you
Hold
music.
It was insane. Okay, so spoiler. Do not listen if you don't want to know what happened in the last episode of The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. So Galadriel and Halbrand, who everyone thinks might be Sauron, they go from Numenor back to Middle-earth, and they're in the Southlands. And the guy who's like the head elf of the Southlands, who's trying to help protect all the people who are getting
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
The World Baseball Classic is great. Yesterday, a player on Panama tried to fight his own manager, and it wasn't the most hostile thing that came out of the World Baseball Classic. There are different dialects of Spanish. Not all Spanish is the same. And actually, the apology I'm about to make now is a couple of weeks late because a couple of weeks ago during a wrestling segment, we said something. A word was said that is a slur in Mexican, but in Cuban is just the word for slut. It's not a slur, but in Mexican, it's not. In Cuban, it's not a slur, but in Mexican, it is a slur. And Randy Arozarena, he was great in Tampa and has been less great in Seattle. He's a great player. But I've legitimately never heard the kind of words you're about to hear in Cuban Spanish, where he makes the distinction of, I'm speaking one kind of Spanish now, but now I'm going to speak Cuban Spanish. And he's talking about the Big Dumper, a very popular player, and his teammate. I'm going to translate this for Zaslow when it's done, but it's legitimately shocking. When I heard this said of a teammate, I couldn't believe that it sounded so nice at the beginning when he's like, well, his family, his parents are really nice. But then he really tells the Big Dumper to go bleep himself. Listen to this.
Primero se lo voy a decir en español, mira. Primero, lo único que tiene que hacerle es darle gracias a Dios que tiene buenos papás, ¿no? Que sus papás son muy bien, están muy bien educados. Gracias a Dios, hace 2 días que los pude ver en el hotel y me fueron a saludar, me dieron un abrazo y estaban muy orgullosos de mí de poder verme otra vez. Lo otro se lo quiero decir a los cubanos, se lo voy a decir. Es lo que tiene que hacerle, ¿verdad? Irse para casa la pinga. A los mexicanos. Que se vaya para casa la verga en inglés. Se lo voy a decir en inglés. El gudicillo que me dijo, que se lo meten en el culo. Me fui.
All right, so he starts with thank God for his parents. They're very well educated. They met me in the hotel lobby the other day. They told me how proud they were
That's nice.
of me. Yeah, that part was nice. But I'd like to do Refrán del Día with Tony here on La Casa del Pinga, which, first of all, he told him to take his good to see you and shove it up his ass.
That's not nice.
And this is a teammate of his. Like, this is just legitimately crazy to hear. And let's play Refrán del Día with Tony here so you can hear where it is that Randy sent his teammate.
Dímelo, mi gente! Wow. Randy. It's the first time that I've ever heard this phrase be uttered in a press conference or in some sort of like media availability, right? Even if it was on a phone.
About his teammate.
About his teammate. I think it was in jest though, Dan. I will, give that to Randy. I think it was in jest. But he told the Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh, to vete pa casa la pinga, which means basically you can go to the house of the dick.
That's what I thought it meant.
That's exactly what it means. So it means a couple of different things, even though you're saying vete a la casa la pinga, that could be go to a very far away house of the dick, because it may be very, very far, or just go to the house of dick because, come on.
You know about that house of dick?
Jeremy, can you give me some context here? Was he fooling around? Was he just playing because they...
Smiling Jim.
Look, he was smiling, but he was clearly frustrated because the context for this is Randy Arozarena goes up to bat and goes to shake Cal Raleigh's hand. Randy Arozarena playing on the Mexican team, Cal Raleigh the catcher for USA. So he goes and sticks out his hand to shake his fellow Seattle Mariners teammate's hand. And Raleigh from underneath the mask just goes, good to see you, and won't shake his hand. And this is 2 World Baseball Classics in a row where this has happened with Team USA for Randy Arozarena, because he tried to stick out a fist bump for Will Smith, the catcher of Team USA last time. Just, look, these guys all play in the same league together.
He's trying to be a good guy.
Just trying to be the good guy. Hey, what's up? Especially now with Cal Raleigh, his teammate, expecting, look, it's one thing. I can understand Will Smith going, hey, man, we've played against each other in the World Series when I was on the Dodgers and you were on the Rays.
See each other naked.
It's got a point.
House of Dick. But the thing that happens here is that it seems like something that should just be an easy exchange. Hey, even just give him the glove to whatever. Instead, afterward, again, I've never heard someone speak like this about anybody, let alone a teammate after a game.
Oh, I've heard a lot of people in Spanish speak this way about others.
Well,
but I'm
on
not,
the record, though, Dan. On the record, Dan.
On the record.
You hear this at the clubhouse.
Walk through West 32.
I wasn't doing players. I've just heard all of that a lot in my life. I've never heard it publicly, one teammate to another.
No, Casa la Pinga is insane. Like, I've never heard that in all the Cuban, in everything. Nobody's ever said that before.
Can you guys tell me whether or not you think this explanation works for you? Enrique Rojas of ESPN says that catchers have been afraid to shake batters' hands for fear they might get pine tar on the ball. They can get ejected from the game if that happens. That's the explanation, because it's happened a couple of times now where the catcher is trying to go fist bump with somebody.
Yeah, fist bump. You're not getting anything.
Give him a fist bump. Or the glove, even. Just
but hold on a second. So we've got two different things here, and lost in translation, we should be the show in America that can help Seattle and everyone else navigate whether this should be a giant controversy or just a little joke between friends.
It's a play on for me. When I saw the quotes in black and white, I'm like, oh man, this is a spicy meatball. Who make it the salad?
Who make it the salad?
I think Randy Arozarena, he'd almost have to be he knows that if he's being serious, he is starting a major thing. And I have to believe that he's smarter than that. That he wouldn't, even if he was serious, that he wouldn't be trying to start a major thing with his teammate. So I think either he's really angry with him or they're very close. I don't think there's an in-between.
I don't think anybody's really close to Randy Arozarena. He's a strange guy. He has a reputation inside of baseball. I'm actually shocked he knows Cal is his teammate.
Can we please check in with anybody in Seattle who can explain to us? Because we should be the show that is more qualified to analyze, is it a joke or is it a giant controversy? Because these are, whether you think they're baseball stars or not, these are two baseball stars.
No! Exclamation point! They're baseball stars. Big Dumper was a phenomenon.
That's not the one that made me put the stars with a question mark.
You've been talking about Randy for years.
I loved him with the Rays. He was less good with Seattle. I thought he was going to help put Seattle over the top. I just don't think, even though he's one of my favorite Cuban baseball players ever, a free swinger. I went 3 years never figuring out how anyone ever got him out. I love him, and he's a very good player. I don't think he might necessarily qualify as a star even in baseball.
Agreed. There's bigger names and bigger stars, and I think just on the Dominican team, I can name 5 guys that are kind of bigger than Randy. But the funny thing is, a lot of people are looking at this being like, okay, wait a second. This guy who's Cuban, who's playing for the Mexican team, is trying to salute the guy who's on the USA team, who's also on his team in real life. It's just a lot of peg points of he can't play on the Cuban national team because he defected and he can't go back.
I think he defected through Mexico. That's why that is why he's playing for Mexico.
The rules are lax.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic.
Nolan Arenado's Dominican now.
And one of the things
Puerto Rican, that's a fine.
I was going to say I didn't see him out there at BP.
That is a fine.
Yeah,
that is
you didn't
absolutely
catch it initially.
that
Right,
is
everybody. I'll pay the fine.
That is absolutely a fine, and you have to pay the fine, and we're being more diligent about making sure that we pay the fines because the Fine Bucket now has sponsorship.
Yes, the Fine Bucket is presented by Moneyline. Download the Moneyline app or visit moneyline.com to learn more. Moneyline, make money easy.
What's that, $5?
That is a $2 fine.
Okay.
You owe $2.
Let me get that QR.
I want to take you guys briefly, though, through a conversation about how sports get globalized in a way that has happened that is really cool. We have seen in basketball the way that the NBA reached out to the rest of the world, and in doing so, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jokic and Luka have become legitimate stars. Wemby, because the sport has gone global. I'm actually old enough to remember when the United States exported baseball to Japan and played exhibitions in Japan, and how Japan used to get its ass kicked in these games because they were in the formative years of developing baseball. And culturally, this one's interesting to me, right? There are no Japanese basketball stars. There are no Japanese football stars. I don't know if there are many or any Japanese hockey stars, but Japan has the greatest baseball player who has ever existed, because over the last 35 years, the sport has dominated that culture. The body types, right, aren't made for basketball and football, but maybe if the sport had been there for 35 years, a Shohei Ohtani somewhere would appear in Japan and make it so that those sports would be the ones. Japan's pretty good at soccer, okay, but generally speaking, the sports that require the giant physicality, give me all the Japanese football players that there are. But baseball, they've got the best baseball player who has ever existed, and Japan can now beat us in baseball. Oh, I've seen the evolutions, and it's a crazy evolution to see, to watch Japan not be any good at baseball, to watch the United States go over to Japan, play against Japan in early exhibitions, and Japan get trounced again and again and again. And over the last 35 years, they've caught up. Like they've made it, just like internationally, the world has caught up to us in basketball once we exported the sport. Japan has absolutely caught up. Is Japan favored to win the World Series as they did the World Baseball Classic, as they did when Shohei Ohtani was both pitching and hitting home runs?
The U.S. was favored, and I think DR might have even been second, but I'm going to look now at the ads on DraftKings.
Japan is plus 360. They're in third place right now for World Baseball Classic. USA is minus 105, and DR is plus 340.
It is a little bit crazy to think of how it is, if you're old enough, to watch just how the sport evolved because of the concentration culturally of the country on that sport, where anyone who wants to play sports culturally, baseball is what it is you're going to try and chase, because Ichiro and now Ohtani are your groundbreakers and your pioneers that made American baseball not the best baseball necessarily anymore. Because you can say flatly, right? No one here listening to this disputes that Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player to ever exist, given that he's kind of Barry Bonds but also pitches. Like, there's no dispute on this, correct?
Absolutely not. And the shame for Aaron Judge is he might be the greatest right-handed hitter I've ever seen. He might be genuinely having the greatest peak of any hitter ever, and yet he won't go down as the greatest player of his generation because Shohei Ohtani exists.
How long has Shohei been in the majors now? What, 6 years maybe? Does that sound right?
Longer than that.
Yeah,
I'll
longer,
look now.
Yeah. Because the point that I'm trying to get at is that's never happened before, right? Where you have a player who's been in the league for that short amount of time, and we're just giving the consensus greatest ever?
Well, what's never existed as well is somebody who hits like that and also throws 100 miles an hour.
Also 8 years.
8 years.
And he'll be doing it for longer.
What do you guys feel in general about the World Baseball Classic? Because I heard the blasphemy that Jeremy had, where he was saying that it's better than March Madness, when we've said March Madness is the greatest thing just because it's concentrated uniforms running up and down and your gambling money is running up and down on a Thursday morning. You're watching. The ACC tournament starts today, correct?
That's correct, Dan. I love conference tournament time. We got a banger in the Big 12 with their glass court. Did you see this?
I did
court,
not.
Yeah, they're basically playing on an LED screen in the Big 12.
I don't believe you.
Arizona State versus Baylor at 12:30. I think college basketball is having a tremendous year. John Shire won ACC Coach of the Year. I guess he won it because he had to overcome the loss of Jay Lucas. I don't know what we're doing there. And the Phantom Punch. But
Jim Boeheim was giving Jay Lucas the ACC Coach of the Year. Jim Boeheim was raving about Jay Lucas.
Yeah, Jay Lucas deserves it. I mean, yeah, I understand he lost the number 1 draft pick, and he had to overcome that adversity in getting possibly the number 2 overall draft pick the following year. It's Duke. What are we doing? Jay Lucas deserves it. Maybe he won National Coach of the Year and losing in the ACC. That's a weird ACC thing that they got going on with their teams. But it's incredible, and I don't want to knock the WBC. I am trying desperately to get into it. I like the WBC because the atmosphere translates. But get out of here with hyping this tournament up just yet. Like, all you got is a crowd because these games are garbage. Garbage baseball games. There's been like one good
one.
The
montage we just showed a bunch of game-winning home runs where there were walk-offs and people celebrating at home plate.
Nah, you would loop the same one over and over again. 90% of
Did you
were
just
all
make,
different.
Whoa, did you just make all Latin people the same?
Yeah, he did.
Oh!
Yeah, he did. See ya.
You loop the same one.
I
can't believe he's been racist 2 days in a row.
Wow.
It's not good. I don't need to see some of these nations try to play like God bless him, Chechia, the great middle reliever coming out of the pen. I don't need to see
Get
you
out of
losing
here.
15-0.
Thank you, Roy. Control your room. Get him out of here with his
I can't finish a
accidental
point?
racism. You're not after accidental racism.
Oh, I'm not going to the penalty box.
Second
for that.
time is
it was
accidental?
It was one home run.
You got
out of here.
You got to get out of here. You can't.
Are you
say-
telling me there were two good baseball games in this thing?
Of
There
course.
were-
I challenge you. There weren't two good baseball
There were
games.
multiple-
Challenge
Literally last night,
Challenge
you
that.
was the
That's
extra
a
game.
great game.
You gotta get out of here.
I don't have challenges
I
to the
defy
penalty.
you to
Rico,
put
yes,
on
but
a
yes,
second
but there were
game.
two good
Game.
games
You're a
yesterday.
Oh, hey, put on FS1. Israel's losing by 16. Out of here.
He was right about that. I was at the DR Israel game, and it got ugly quick.
Come on.
What'd you expect?
No one needs to see that.
Tatis hit a grand slam right to my section, though.
Yeah,
Almost
what'd
caught the
you
ball.
expect? Come on.
Hold on. What does almost caught the ball mean?
6 rows down. If I wanted to go get it, I could have gotten it. But the problem is you know how when you're in left field where you see like where the bar is on top and then you have that like little section in left field, there's like the part there with like the band sits. Jeremy would know. The band sits up there. I was right there on that ledge where the handicap, you know, you go with the wheelchairs. So I was there.
I don't think we're saying
You got scared.
anymore. He did get scared.
I just like that he got
list. I
scared.
didn't know where I was going.
No,
injured
you
list.
got.
Handicap.
You know what? I'm
Can I say
sorry.
handicap?
I'm
no.
sorry. I'm sorry to do this.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, rambling.
It should be worse. It should be worse. I don't have here. Use the wrong word in 2026.
What's the right one?
Well, it's not. It's not
I even
handicapped
don't know.
anymore.
And I'm a snowflake.
I almost caught it though. If I wanted to, I would have gotten it.
Get out of here.
Accessible?
I don't think that. I don't think we're using that as the word anymore. I want to get a little bit caught up here on some of the football moves because I just saw, to Zaz's point earlier in the show, about some names that are moving around, getting giant dollar amounts that he does not recognize. Get Up just put on the screen all of the tens of millions of dollars the Raiders have spent to try and fix everything on the first day of free agency, and I don't think that ever works, Zaz. I really don't think. The Patriots for 20 years always sat out the first day of free agency because it was only the losers who were doing what the Raiders are doing, but the Raiders went in big yesterday, signing a whole bunch of guys when they don't have a quarterback at the moment, although people think they're going to take Fernando Mendoza, and they are in a world of hurt. I want to play with the group here a game of big signing or not a big signing, and all of you were making fun of Mike Evans, and I'm remiss in not making more fun of Tony from last week because he had a top 5 list of top 5 low-key free agent signings, and Mike Evans was on it, and Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, was on it. Those can't be low-key. Mike Evans has 1,000. Mike Evans has 1,000 yards receiving.
We thought he was done last year.
But he's got 1,000-yard receivings in every season of his career.
And that's why I called it low-key.
But what?
Kenneth Walker was just a Super Bowl MVP.
How is that? How can that be low-key? How is that
because
low-key?
if they really cared about Kenneth Walker, they would have re-signed him. They didn't care. Now he goes to the Chiefs. It was a low-key signing because how do you let the MVP of the Super Bowl walk?
Roy, can we put on FS2? Great Britain just cut it to 8.
I can't believe you're dismissing what Czech electrician Andre Satoria did today. 4 2/3 scoreless innings against Japan. The guy is an electrician.
He's smaller than me.
He's throwing
His fastball
80 miles an
barely
hour.
breaks 80 miles an hour.
like
And
that,
last
Dan.
time around, he
You like
struck
that.
out Shohei Ohtani. That's the coolest shit in the world.
He was throwing slop.
It's not.
It's not.
I just told you they're
More
playing
dismissive than the
basketball
Heat
on an
stuff.
LED screen today at 12:30.
I reclaim
gotta
my
be
time.
dangerous,
I
right?
reclaim my time. This is really cool to get to watch. It is way better than watching a 16 seed lose by 70.
Before we get to this big signing or not a big signing, because I do want to get people caught up on this, I wanted to see if you guys had any opinions on this, because I'm interested in the rise of the information broker in the NFL, the Schefters, the Ian Rappaports, the Jay Glazers. I'm fascinated by it because of what a mental health challenge it is to the robots who have to do this and have their life both get more lucrative but crazy because they don't have any time to themselves. They have to follow everything. But I don't know how the audience at large feels about Mike Florio. He seems to suffer some of what I suffer from, which is you can be right, but you make your point so obnoxiously that nobody likes you anyway, even if you're right. And so Florio, I think, does a really great job as not just a hustler, but an information man who's willing to also call out other information people.
Is that affliction airborne?
It's not contagious, although you seem to have gotten some of it. Yeah, you seem to have gotten some of it.
Oh,
in
no,
this
it's getting on me.
studio. Yeah, we do have some people.
I've been
around
right about
here.
the Heat for 4 years.
No, I have.
I was right about the Panthers.
All they had to do was put us in the CFP, and I was right.
Roy, you're not the person here who is afflicted with this. This has not been you seem to be immune to this particular contagion.
Yeah, because I keep it quiet.
Yeah, yes. But the thing that I wanted to get to with you guys is there was a guy at the draft, last name Tate, who ran a 40 time that Schefter immediately came out and said, well, that 40 time wasn't right. He's faster than that. And he's a Drew Rosenhaus client. And Florio immediately came out and called out Schefter on it, saying, you're just doing an agent's work for him there. You're not passing information. When are these times wrong? When are they're at the scouting combine. They're doing precision timing. You're taking the word of Drew Rosenhaus, but not saying that it's coming from Drew Rosenhaus. You're reporting as fact that guy might be faster than we think he is. What did you take, or what do you make of the fact that the information, and we've known this about Schefter for a while, right? He had that giant controversy where he was sending a Washington Commanders executive basically something he'd written to get it edited by that Washington Commanders GM. What do you make of this as?
Well, you're also leaving out the part where then Florio posted screen grabs of text messages from other people who were at the combine, and they were timing the players, and they all had, the time or extremely close to the time that Florio was saying, and he posted them all there. So it feels like it's what you said, that the agent, in this case Drew Rosenhaus.
Well, I love that Florio does this, that he's willing to do it. Not many people are, but I wonder how the audience at large. Schefter's a giant. Schefter in this business is the person, and
he's pretty untouchable.
The sausage is made, though, in a way that's dirty. Like that transaction to me is not merely not journalism. It's not merely a conflict of interest. It's wrong.
But what's the repercussions?
There don't seem to be any, but it's at least in part because nobody cares. Like, it's not because it's not wrong. It's because nobody cares about the wrong. Right. They want their information from the information guy, and they don't care how the information guy gets the information. And while I'm wagging a finger at it and scolding and being right in the wrong tone so everyone gets mad at me for talking about it, it makes me no less right to say, that ain't right.
Maybe this doesn't sound right, but shouldn't you understand that that's part of the deal? That's how Adam Schefter becomes the the gold standard.
But like,
in
when
NFL
did it
reporting.
when did it become part?
I'm
of
not
the deal?
supposed to do interpretations on the truth when it's journalists giving it to me. They're supposed to be giving me objective facts.
I mean, there are journalism aspects to what it is that he does, but I think he's a personality first and foremost.
Oh, but I don't think that that's how. I mean, he came up in newspaper writing. Look, this is the golden age of ESPN, is trafficking in the credibility of newspapers to make themselves. I've talked about all of this before, but the short part of the story is ESPN had no moral obligation to become a journalism company. They decided to do so because they thought it would be good for business to get into the journalism business. They've since largely gotten out of it, even though they just hired a bunch of Washington Post reporters, because journalists are now more available because the media is either collapsing or collapsed.
Well, you know who else came up in newspapers? Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, but Stephen A. Smith is now widely viewed as an entertainer who he himself considers himself a journalist. But I think people do understand that what he's doing on First Take, that's not journalism, no matter how much he tries to apply some journalism standards to it. First word in ESPN is always entertainment. There's no J in there.
I get you, but I think even this little gambit is still subjective. Like, he could be faster. Like, he could be.
Yeah, but he's taking. But what's happening there, though, is you're taking Drew Rosenhaus's biased information, you're presenting it as your own, and it's not impartial information, and also not likely to be accurate. Not likely to be accurate.
Cardinal Tate does seem faster to me. I was surprised. I've watched him plenty. You know what? I'm confirming Adam Schefter's report.
Wow.
Tate is faster.
You
than
happen
that.
to know?
That's not a happen to know. See, he doesn't play with the happen to know because he's playing the
'Cause he's
line
a journalist.
between
Yeah.
journalist and entertainer. And when
You know,
he does
right.
happen to know,
Yeah, you know when I'm a J.
yes, you do.
Journalism.
So what's the game? Big signing or not a big
Ooh,
signing?
I think it's actually big move or not a big
Yeah,
move.
because there are trades. You got to be able to hedge your bets for that.
Okay, so do you want to throw some his way? Do you guys have? I don't know. So the biggest move so far, we were talking about Malik Willis here locally, and you mentioned Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. I think Mike Evans is not a low-key signing. I think if you can get Mike Evans, as San Francisco has gotten Mike Evans, that's a big signing. But the biggest one so far is blank. Before we get to big move or not a big move, the one so far that you guys say is the biggest
Malik Willis.
That's the biggest?
Yeah. Yeah.
Max Crosby.
That's
that was a trade.
Well, I mean, what are you
But it's
talking
a
about?
move.
It's
It's
a
a-
move.
it's a move.
It
Who
is
said
a
it's a
transaction.
move?
Signing.
Who said it's a
Transaction.
move?
Like I said, that counts because this is big move or not a big move. Excellent job, Mike.
They corrected Zaz, and he walked back his position. What the Rams are doing is also interesting with McDuffie, and their biggest weakness the second half of the season, they were a play away, was their defensive back play. But what do you have for us, Tony, that you're going to throw Zaz's way?
Former Miami Dolphin Jalen Phillips moving from Philadelphia to the Carolina Panthers, signing a 4-year, $120 million deal, 80 of it guaranteed. Zaz, big move. Not a big
That's
move.
big move. That's big move. Carolina. I think Bryce Young is on the ascension. I like what I saw from him last year. Can't always be a star in your first year. Carolina made the playoffs last year. Go and get a really good player. He's got to stay healthy, of course. We can say that about anyone. I go big move.
Good for Jalen Phillips, incidentally, because that's a guy you root for.
Yeah, it's a guy that almost medically retired in college.
Yeah.
That guy's body has been through it. For him to get a big contract, to be traded to Philadelphia, to be successful in Philadelphia, and to be someone who's a successful edge rusher, even though in Miami that last year he was the king of almost. Like, he had so many plays
That Chargers game.
where he almost made
Whiffed.
the play.
The new whiffer. Like your dad, who'd your dad call the whiffer?
Stanton.
Stanton.
Look, well,
okay.
to give people the entire context of the conversation, because it's a good one. My father, on television for several years, would simply refer to Giancarlo Stanton as the whiffer. And then at an apartment in Miami Beach, an apartment complex, we get on to an elevator with Giancarlo Stanton and Ricky Nolasco, a giant Giancarlo Stanton. And I'm like, Dad, don't. And my father's like, what? He's a whiffer. Just says it right in front of him in a really confined space.
What did Stanton do?
He just stared at us as I was mortified. Like, what's
Big
he,
guy, huh?
Yeah, but what's he gonna do? My father's a 75-year-old man. He's gonna bury him in the elevator. But he actually smiled. Actually, Giancarlo, he knows he's a whiffer.
Yeah, he knows he struck out 200 times.
Zaz, second biggest contract doled out over the weekend. Alec Pierce staying with the Colts. 4 years, $114 million. Big move? Not a big move.
I'm going not a big move because essentially this move cost them Michael Pittman, right? I don't know. Like I think I'd rather keep Michael Pittman at the number that he was making as opposed to Alec Pierce and sign him to that. I don't know. Does Alec Pierce scream to you like big time number one wide receiver?
Greg Cody last week, this was shocking to me, had never heard of him somehow.
He also called him Alex.
Yeah, it was
I've never
weird.
heard of Alex Pierce.
Is that the fewest catches ever to get to 1,000 yards?
I also have to tell people, my apologies not telling you earlier than this, Greg Cody is on vacation somewhere. So he was not, he was scheduled to be with us today, but I got in here today and he was not here and his son's not here. And again, the longtime NFL writer for the Miami Herald did not know who Alec Pierce was last time he was in here.
He was part of my low-key signings too.
Did you see he posted a video from out on a beach yesterday?
Yes,
Live reaction.
It was really important for him to inform everybody from that beach how right he was about both things. He predicted they'd get rid of Tua, and he predicted they'd get Malik Willis.
Fuentes, can you do me the favor of getting that video so we have the spirit and the feel of Greg Cody here on a Greg Cody Tuesday?
Rare statistical tie in the NFL. Alec Pierce tied Deshaun Jackson for fewest catches to get to 1,000 yards.
Did Greg give you that virus that we were talking about before, Dan?
No, people love Greg Cody. Greg Cody's not afflicted with his message getting contaminated by how obnoxious he is.
He's just rarely right.
True. Yeah.
Zaz, New York Giants wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, now the number one target for Cam Ward over in Tennessee. Wan'Dale Robinson, 4 for 70. Big move, not a big move.
I'm going big move. You know, if you draft Cam Ward number one overall, you got to give him a little bit of help, even if it means you overpay. Free agency, you inherently overpay every time, but I like it. It's been move.
Travis Etienne goes from Jacksonville to New Orleans. Does that spell a problem for Alvin Kamara? Etienne, 4 years, $52 million.
Yeah, I like it. I think Etienne is a really good player. I think it's a good move. I think it's a big move for New Orleans. I like it.
K. Walker, 3. Super Bowl MVP, low-key, a lot we're saying. Now the Chiefs get their number one guy. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm going big move there. Running backs, really good history with Andy Reid in Kansas City, and I especially like it because there was thought that maybe Kansas City would wind up trying to acquire in the draft Jeremiah Love, but I would rather have Kenneth Walker and draft another player. So
Yeah, you think the Super Bowl MVP to the team of a generation is a big move, do you?
Hey, I only have 2 choices. It wasn't like, hey, Zaslow, tell us what you think is the biggest
like
move.
that move.
And then I said Kenneth Walker.
You like that move?
I was asked, is Kenneth Walker a big move or is it not a big move? And obviously the answer is big move.
Yeah, you like that move?
So I don't know what you're talking about or trying to accomplish here, Mike.
I just asked you seconds ago before we started playing big move or not a big move, what was the biggest move? And you said Malik Willis, which is asinine.
Well, I got confused for a second. What's a move and what's a signing?
Another guy on the move from Jacksonville, heading over to Carolina, Devin Lloyd, 3 years, $45 million.
I'm going not a big move, mainly because I don't know that fool.
Yeah.
Well, but that sort of disqualifies you.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, well,
Appreciate the honesty.
No, you know what? I don't, actually.
Wow!
I don't think...
Devin Lloyd's great.
I don't think that... I don't appreciate...
Pro Bowler, right?
I don't appreciate the ignorance in the honesty.
Did you not watch that Monday Night Football game against the Chiefs? He was all over the field.
I'm doing afternoon drive on ESPN today, by the way.
And you're going to know all about him by
Is
that.
it with Harry Douglas? Are you
So
doing
Freddie.
it? Oh, it's Freddie Coleman. All right. What
The
else?
OG.
Yeah, let's go.
Do you have anything else?
One
here,
big
Tony?
move that happened too. Yep.
You don't get to decide whether it's a big move.
Well, I'm
or
telling
not.
you it's a big move. I'm
You
telling
don't
you it's a
get
big
to
move.
decide that. He's
From
deciding
New
that.
England.
He's deciding that.
Joining Tua Tagovailoa in Atlanta, the one and only 1 year, $3.25 million. Austin Hooper moves over to Atlanta to be their number 2 tight end. Big move, not a big move.
Not a big move.
What do you know?
No, nothing.
Kyle Pitts is the guy there. Who cares about number 2 tight end?
You ever heard
circle.
of blocking tight end?
Full circle moment for Austin Hooper, who is somehow, I think, only 31 years old.
You've been talking about Austin Hooper for a while. The Patriots offense was largely Hunter Henry, giant runs and occasional passes to Stephon Diggs. Were any of you surprised that Stephon Diggs was let go after just 1 year
Not
with
at
New
all.
England?
No.
Not at all.
No, you get one good year and it's like, all right, it's a powder keg. Let's call it a day.
Let's get to that video, please, of Greg Cody on vacation, being right and feeling the need from a beach somewhere to give you his Dolphins opinions from I'm going to guess the Caribbean somewhere. I'm not totally sure. Where did you see this, Zaslow?
I think it was posted online.
Okay, and it felt to you the same? It felt like he was just going to be right. He wanted to make sure that everyone knew that he was right.
He's got to let you know that if Greg Cody is going to be right, see, he's on vacation. He's likely, he's got a few drinks in him. He's not just going to say, hey, let me do work, all right? That's not his strong suit. But if he finds out that he was right about things, hey, Christopher, fire up the iPhone here. I got something to say. That's what it's about.
So wait a minute. You don't think he's not filming himself in the video that we are attempting to locate now? There's a cameraman, and you're assuming that Chris is on vacation with him. The Codys tend to take cruises together.
I am confirming reports, but it sounds like he's reporting from the Virgin Islands, or at least they were Virgin before he got there.
So not the House of Dick.
No, but they're in two separate vacations, Dan. So Chris was somewhere else. Greg somewhere else.
Oh, they're not together?
No, two different Caribbean vacations.
But the Dolphins got a quarterback, and that's a bad time for the legendary Miami Herald columnist to not have a microphone, to not have an ability to get to people. He believes that everyone wants to hear his informed opinion.
Well, I think vacation the first day of NFL free agency, that's bad timing.
To be fair, nobody had any idea that NFL free agency was March 9th. We had no clue. To be fair to Greg.
It is strange that Greg would decide to go on a quick vacation the day that NFL free agency starts at noon, when the Dolphins are in almost total upheaval and changing the entirety of their franchise.
When's his next scheduled vacation? NFL draft?
Probably.
The Super Bowl? You think he'll just take off on the Super Bowl?
Stop throwing stones, Devin Lloyd. All right? Guy's a Pro Bowler. You should know better.
The Codys love a cruise. They are trashy. And let's see if you can tell from his hair here whether Greg Cody is trashy.
Okay, so as I'm recording this on a beach in Tortola, the Dolphins have cut Tua Tagovailoa as expected and signed Malik Willis, which I predicted they would and advocated that they do. And so congratulations, Dolphins, for following my advice. But here I am, not doing my job. Basically just drinking a rum drink on a beach in Tortola, which, by the way, Tortola to me always sounded like a pasta, type of pasta, or the actor, the famous American actor John Tortola. But instead, it turns out it's the biggest island in the British Virgin Islands, and we're here on the first stop of our cruise. Had a great time so far. A lot of drinking, a lot of partying. Won some money in the casino, which is always a bonus. Did well on the slots. Did well at roulette. Loved the big wheel, the big clicking wheel, and took a master class in how to make a tenderloin. Had a bourbon tasting. It's been fantastic. And we'll come to you again soon. See you later. The sea, right in my background. See you later.
Covers the sky in ash.
He just won with Jeremy Tashi.
Because Jeremy was an alleged journalist last night. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Jeremy, who is an up-and-comer in the broadcasting game and is someone who has now journalistic credentials around, literal credentials around the Heat and the Marlins. Yesterday he was hosting And this is one of the great things, Stugotz, this time of year. We get it so infrequently around here in South Florida. But South Florida has always done this well. The rest of the country always makes fun of, you guys don't care about that sports that much. You're bandwagon people. All right. Many of us are. Not everyone is. The loyalists are super loyal. But Miami does the bandwagon better than anybody. Miami does. Everyone now show up for the party. And so you have, stunningly, a hockey arena in the Everglades. Like surrounded by airboats and alligators, filled with people to do the wave, watching the game on television. And at the Heat, across the street from us last night, Jeremy Tessier is watching the end of that game with a lot of people who are excited. And Stugotz, I'm getting a lot of this. Jimmy was out of bounds, and it ended up being a 3. That was a goaltend ref culture win. Okay, whatever. Tell it to the people who were yelling and screaming around Jeremy.
How about this? 1-1, we're coming home.
Okay, who's we?
Yeah, I took the Heat in 5. Anyone else?
He's right.
All right. The Knicks are watching this like everybody
2 rounds
else.
ago.
It was a long time ago, understandably. Here's Jeremy Tessier not being a journalist while covering, again, an arena filled with people, but no players or athletes were there.
You're catching us right now as the Miami Heat have just won Game 2 of the NBA Finals. You can see that this crowd here is hoisting babies into the air. This crowd is ready from the moment this game started, and it has continued here as the Miami Heat have just upset the Denver Nuggets. We've got fans going crazy. We're high-fiving. Everybody's ready for an unbelievable night right here in Miami. The Kaseya Center was ready for a great night from the jump, as this energy around the entire lower bowl was electric from the moment this game started until the moment it ended. As we pan out to the rest of the crowd, you can see the entire lower bowl going absolutely crazy to end this game. The Miami Heat have just won it as Jamal Murray's shot has not gone in. I cannot believe what I've witnessed around me. There were moments in the fourth quarter where I couldn't hear myself think. I don't even know if you can hear me on the microphone. What a night at the Kaseya Center as the Miami Heat take their first game, their first win in Denver, and I know that this crowd right here is ready for an unbelievable party Wednesday night, Game 3 here in the Heat's house. Guys, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Oh my gosh, Jeremy Tessier doing that on 1 tank of oxygen.
Not a single breath taken. He was like one of those free divers that go down for 20 minutes at the bottom of the ocean. It was a record. And if you're listening just by audio and not watching, what you didn't see in that noise is there were 11 actual babies tossed in the air. Just infants.
Seems
that were
reckless.
It does, but hey, it's Game 2.
Right.
Wait till Game 7 of this thing.
Right.
11 babies, a fetus.
It's not going 7. I said 5.
That's right.
You did mention that.
Yeah.
The energy was actually insane. I don't remember any of that. I feel like I blacked out as that happened. It sounded like I was losing my voice. I wasn't losing my voice. I literally was just unhinged. I don't remember it. It was really amazing.
You blacked out. Excellent work by you, blacking out as a impartial observer of games.
Well, you can't be impartial if you're holding a microphone that says Heat TV.
My job
Right.
is sales
and
in that.
high-fiving
You're
people.
emceeing.
Yeah.
Emceeing is really sales.
I'm
right.
there.
Yeah.
I'm there to make sure everybody's ready to be at games 3 and 4. I'm there to make sure that everybody is ready to be at the road rally. Bally Sports, the heart of the fan.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Would the Zeller minutes look the same if you replaced him with a newborn giraffe?
Or that newborn baby that was being hoisted into the air.
The giraffe would just be.
Look at who's here, the lead game analyst for the NBA on Prime. He's half the man he used to be. Look at him. Stan Van Gundy with us. Sixers at Detroit, Celtics at OKC on Thursday. A special game last night in the association. So we start obviously here with Stan talking about food. Stan, they're DTF St. Louis. They're down to feast in St. Louis at the ballpark. You got 29 gets you an assortment of foods. All you can eat here, Stan. Hot dogs, chicken nuggets, bratwurst, nacho chips, popcorn, french fries, peanuts, kettle chips, ice cream, and fountain drinks for $29. What does Stan Van Gundy think of that deal as a baseball fan? He's in Houston. He went to the World Baseball Classic yesterday. He loves baseball just as much as he loves basketball, but he loves food more than both of them. What do you think of this unlimited $29 deal here, Stan?
That's a hell of a deal. I mean, I would just make sure I didn't eat before I went to the game that night. That's a hell of a deal.
What would be your choices there? What would you go with? How much damage do you think you would do?
Well, I would have the first line there. I would get a Diet Coke, the hot dogs, the chicken nuggets. I might get a brat, but definitely popcorn. And yeah, that would be it. But I'd eat a lot of all that stuff.
So you would make them regret their decision to make all of that $29?
I would try to make them regret it, yes.
Your love of baseball. Tell me about going to the World Baseball Classic. What did you see yesterday?
Well, it was incredible. I had never, and I didn't really think about it until I was going, but for all the sporting events I've been to, I had never been to a major international match. Like, I was talking to my brother, and he's been to the Olympics and the World Cup in basketball. He's been to the Women's World Cup in soccer. I had never been to anything, and it was phenomenal against Mexico. I mean, the atmosphere before the game, there were probably more Mexico fans there than USA fans. They were certainly louder. USA had a 5-run inning and got up 5-0, but Mexico battled back and made it interesting, and the crowd was really into it. I haven't been, and I've been to the World Series when the Marlins were in it. I've been to the World Series back in the day when I was young and the A's were in it. I've never been in a stadium that was as electric as it was last night. Judge and Roman Anthony hit home runs, but Bobby Witt Jr. made two of the best defensive plays you would see. Judge made an incredible throw to throw a guy out at third base. I mean, it was just a lot of fun.
I was hurt and offended that you went on another show and told people that Dwight Howard had not only a world-class NBA IQ, but was also an all-star farter.
I just got asked the question. I didn't bring it up. I did not bring it up.
Well, now I'm asking
I just verified the story.
So what constitutes being an all-star farter?
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. They said that the story was that, in walkthroughs and things that he would fart. And I said, yes, that's true. That's it for me. I don't classify an all-star. I don't know if there is an all-star in that category.
So he's crop dusting.
Yeah, I guess.
But do you have second place? Like, who else is all NBA farter in your experience?
No, I don't have that. I don't have that.
But think about it for next time.
Okay,
Not Shaq?
Yes, give it some thought and make sure to get back to us on that if you would.
Yeah, I'll spend a lot of time thinking about that, guys.
Since February 1st, okay, the NBA's best record, number 1, San Antonio, Boston, number 2. NBA net rating, San Antonio, number 1, Boston, number 2. NBA defense, number 1, Boston, San Antonio, number 2. Are those your NBA Finals teams, Stan?
I don't know. I mean, I still think, look, Oklahoma City, you look at the number of injuries they've had, and they still have the best record in the league. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, Jalen Williams has missed 40 games, and they've had numerous guys miss games. Isaiah Hartenstein, I think, has missed 30 games. SGA missed 12 games. AJ Mitchell just came back after missing 20 games straight. It's incredible. I mean, they haven't had their team, and yet they have the best record. So I would still say, until somebody knocks them off, they're the favorite. But I like San Antonio. I like Boston, but I think the East is wide open. New York, Cleveland, Detroit, And then even you've got a lot of teams starting to play well now. I mean, the team nobody's going to want to face is Charlotte in the first round. I mean, so you went through all those things in the last 7 weeks. Charlotte is tied for the best record in the East with Boston, and they are tied. Only San Antonio has a better record than they do. Somebody in the first or second spot is going to get them in the first round, and they're playing as well as anybody in the league right now.
Stan, I wonder what your thoughts are when you heard people on television or radio before Jason Tatum returned speaking about how difficult it might be for the Celtics to reintegrate Tatum. Because I remember you dealt with something similar when you were coaching Orlando with Jameer Nelson.
Yeah, I didn't really worry about Boston's ability to reintegrate him. He's played with all those guys. I just am shocked that in 10 months – this guy's able to come back and has looked the way he has. Now, he hasn't shot the ball well, but he's looked like he's moving well and playing well. I've been through it, with a guy coming back off of an Achilles. And usually when they come back, it's still a good long time, almost an entire season before they're back playing at a high level. And that's guys that have taken a full year or more to get back. So I'm absolutely shocked to see what he's doing out there. Obviously, he did an unbelievable job in his rehab because he looks like the same old Jason Tatum to me.
Were you tempted at all to say Miami when you said Charlotte there? Group them when you're talking about other teams in the East. You say the East is wide open. I don't agree with you. I think Boston is better than everybody, and I don't trust everybody. You caught a lot of heat for comments recently on Detroit because you know how offensively limited that team is.
Yeah. Look, I love Detroit. I mean, as a guy who really respects hard-playing teams, the defensive end of the floor, the whole thing. I love them. I just know that the regular season and playoffs are two totally different challenges. The regular season, is about how often your team is ready to play and, brings close to their best. And Detroit has been phenomenal at that. But the playoffs are what your best is. I would agree with you right now with Tatum back looking the way he is, that Boston's the favorite, but I don't think that they're an overwhelming favorite. I don't. I think New York, Cleveland, Detroit, Miami's starting to play well. Orlando is playing well now, and they don't have their best player. So, injuries are going to be a big part of it. I mean, you give me the top 4 or 5 teams in the East and do the same in the West. Tell me who's going to be healthiest. That's who I'll pick.
Did you just make Wagner better than Banchero?
Yeah, I think he's their best player if you're looking at both ends of the floor. I mean, it's close. And I will say, Paolo Banchero, since the All-Star break, has been a different guy. I mean, he's been great. He's been much more aggressive. I didn't think up until the All-Star break that he was playing great. I thought he was playing okay. I didn't think he was playing great, but since the All-Star break, he's been phenomenal. They get those two guys and Desmond Bane. They've rediscovered their defensive identity. I think they've got a shot. I mean, New York has stumbled in the 2 games in L.A., but their defensive identity is back. Look, I do. I think it's wide open. I would agree with you that Boston's the favorite, but I think it's wide open.
Last night's game between OKC and Denver was really great. It was great from start to finish. Denver is down 7 with 1:12 left and tied the game even though Jokic missed a free throw. The math on that is hard. Dort, again, did a foul to Jokic, hit him in the face, and it was a flagrant. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander tied Wilt Chamberlain's scoring streak by getting 20 points in 126 straight games. When I say that to you, Stan, what are your thoughts just on that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has tied Wilt Chamberlain's scoring streak of 20 points in a game in 126 straight games?
Yeah, no, like that's phenomenal. And we have their game Thursday night. where he will more than likely break that record. I mean, if you tell me a guy's scored in double figures 126 straight games, it's phenomenal. I mean, but 20 points in basically a season and a half straight worth of games, it's mind-boggling. And anytime you're doing something in a scoring realm that surpasses Wilt Chamberlain, I mean, it's incredible what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done. I mean, not only has he been great, but that level of consistency is incredible.
Windhorst has mentioned that empirically, numerically, the Lakers are good when it's Luka and Austin Reeves, but not when LeBron's on the court. What do you do with that?
Well, first of all, I would say that they don't have enough of a sample size with all three of those guys healthy to really know what's going to work and not work. But I looked at those numbers the other day, yeah, and Luka and Reeves has been better than either one of those guys with LeBron. So, I mean, it's true. I just don't know if it's meaningful in the sample size that we have. I still think the big problem with the Lakers is going to be whether or not they, are able to defend at a high level. They're going to score.
They're not going to be able to defend at a high level. What are you doing?
I don't think so either.
No, they're not going to. Like, what are you talking
about?
No,
and I would agree with you. But it's the question. If they can, then they've got a chance. But I don't see how, because your three best players, none of them are plus defenders. Like LeBron used to be. I mean, he was as good a defender as there was in the league. But at 41 years old, he's not an above average defender anymore. And Luka and Reeves certainly aren't. It's going to be very, very tough for them. And the West is just really difficult. The team, I think, in the West that, can give San Antonio and Oklahoma City a run is Denver. They have not been healthy all year, as we know, and yet they're still hanging in there. And when they get everybody back, I didn't think it was a good sign last night, though, because they were fully healthy last night, and Oklahoma City was,
Aaron Gordon was great. Aaron Gordon was so good last night. Like, he's important to them.
Well, he's very key to them. But, I would have thought, even though it was on the road last night, they should have been able to pull that one out with no Jalen Williams, no Chet Holmgren, no Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, like, that was their chance. No Alex Caruso, and still Oklahoma City wins. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Oklahoma City, they have the best record in the league, and these guys have missed a ridiculous amount of games.
He's the lead game analyst for NBA on Prime. As I mentioned, Sixers at Detroit and Celtics at OKC on Thursday. On Friday, it's Cavs at Dallas and T-Wolves at Golden State. On Saturday, it's Hornets at San Antonio. That's this week on NBA on Prime. I want to speed Stan up, though. I'm going to make his answers short. Tony's dying to get in here with 1,000 questions, so we're going to speed you up. Let's give him some music here. You mentioned LeBron was a great defender in his prime. The best defender in the league right now is blank.
The Thompson twins.
The both of them. They're just equal. You're making.
Doctor. You know what? Yeah, I would have said
Homie now.
Early in the year, but watching Asar as the year's gone on, I think he's his brother's equal at the defensive end. Amin's a better offensive player.
The best shooter in the league after Steph Curry is blank.
The best shooter in the league, period, just shooter, is Luke Kennard.
Better than Steph?
Well, just as a shooter. Yeah, but Luke can't get his
All right,
shot.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Stan Van Gundy crazy for saying that Luke Kennard is a better shooter than Steph Curry?
Okay, see, you never let me explain myself. Luke can't get his own shot. Steph is by far the more dangerous shooter and player. But if we're just going to stand there and shoot the ball, Luke Kennard's the best shooter in the league.
The best front office in the sport is blank.
Well, Oklahoma City, but San Antonio's pretty damn close.
Is Con Knippel the most fun name to say on a broadcast?
We haven't had their games, but yes, it would be, and I would love to do that. Though I will say this, okay? I had a college game, the only college game I did before I do March Madness, Tuesday night, and the point guard and this is his true name, the point guard at Xavier his last name is Wright, his first name is All. He is all right. And now crazier than that, his brother who plays, I want to say it like Rio Grande Valley or something, his first name is Always.
Do you have a Hornets game? Can we get you to say some form, can we get you to shout some form of genuflect before the nipple?
No, you're not going to get me to say that, but I do hope we get one of their games. We have Amazon Prime has the play-in games. They're going to be in that. We have all the play-ins. So hopefully I'll get a Charlotte game because their turnaround has been incredible. I watched them early in the year, and I thought same old Charlotte, and now literally they're as good as anybody. I mean, we're talking about Boston, and they're the favorite. Great, I agree. But Charlotte's been just as good over the last 7 weeks. Charlotte has had the best offense in the league since the 22nd of January and the 6th best defense. I mean, they've been phenomenal, and Con Knippel has been a huge part of that. I think he's the rookie of the year. Just on availability and team success.
Why won't you say bow before the nipple? Why won't you say it?
You guys, I'm not going to say it. Yeah, you're not going to get me to say that.
Coach, obviously you mentioned Con Knippel as your rookie of the year. This has been a super tight race between Cooper Flagg and Con Knippel. Do you feel like Con Knippel, who's now the betting favorite, will win?
I do think he'll win. I think it's more on availability. He's played more games. He's on a better team. Cooper Flagg's fabulous, but I think Con Knippel's a rookie of the year.
Everybody talks about Wemby and glowing praise and all that. Can you give me Wemby's flaw, his one flaw?
You can turn him over. He's, at 7'4", he's got a high dribble. You can attack him on the dribble, and he can at times become a mistake player.
Kawhi Leonard having his best season after 14 years. Can you describe what he's doing?
They're 26-11 in their last 37 games.
I mean, that's the other great turnaround this year. They started 6-21, and Kawhi has had to absolutely carry that team offensively. I mean, and he's been up to the challenge. And the thing with Kawhi too is he's not only puts up big numbers, but he does it so efficiently, and he does it with defenses loaded up to him.
What do you think the penalty should be if all of this around Kawhi Leonard is true, the way that Pablo Torre finds out keeps making it seem like it's all true?
Well, to me, it's not a matter just of it's true. It's a matter of who was doing it and what the motivation was. I mean, I do not think that Steve Ballmer was involved in this. I don't think either directly or indirectly. Why? I don't have any idea.
Why?
Because I just don't see. I don't see why. I mean, the guy's making all kinds of money. I mean, I don't see why. I really don't.
It's tens of millions of dollars that are being hidden there. You think that escapes his attention?
I don't have any idea. I really don't. On the business side of things, I don't have any idea what's going on with any of that, or
you haven't heard any of Pablo Torre's episodes, have you? You just don't want.
I have heard. I've read stuff. I have not heard any of them. But listen, I do think Pablo Torres. I mean, I think he's a good journalist. I think he does a good job. I'm not slighting him, but no, I haven't. See, listen. It's the same thing. You know this when you start talking to me about sports and in basketball about potential trades and salary cap and free agent signings. I'm interested in the games. I just don't get caught up in a lot of the other stuff.
Stan, the Hornets sent the Heat a second-round pick yesterday from the Terry Rozier trade from 2 years ago. Should the Heat be upset about that whole situation?
About the Terry Rozier situation? I mean, everybody's upset about all of this. That stuff is, it's affected the league in a bad way. So if, again, depending on what everybody knew, and if they knew what was going on and sent the Heat Terry Rozier and didn't tell the Heat that, yeah, the Heat should be upset. The Heat should be more upset that Terry Rozier didn't play very well for them.
Let's play some sound here of Steve Kerr and get Stan Van Gundy's reaction to this.
I know this will not be a popular opinion in the league office, but I will continue to say it because it's obvious we need to play fewer games. We need to take 10 games off the schedule. I think it would be great for the league. And I get it. It's revenue, and you'd have to get everybody to agree to take a little less money. And that's a really hard thing to do. But what I know about the league, about coaching, about how hard it is to play the modern game with the pace and the space, I think it would be a more competitive and healthier league if we played fewer games.
Stan?
Well, look, I agree. I think that, to me, the best way, if we wanted just great quality of play, the best way to play the league would be a very balanced schedule. Everybody would play everybody twice. We'd play 58 games, and we would take our best teams into the playoffs. But I do think something's missing from the argument. I don't think fewer games in and of itself is enough. I think the biggest problem with injuries is not the number of games. I think the biggest problem with injuries is that people have stopped practicing, and the league-wide way to do things has been to do less and less and less. I think the players are deconditioned. And yes, the game is more demanding than ever, but it's nonsensical to me that as there are greater demands, we do less in preparation. No other sport would think of doing it that way. Ask the swimmers if, as they meet more demands, they do less and less and less. No, you do more and more and more. I think we've deconditioned players. I don't think we practice enough. I think that's the problem. I think that there are people who in the scientific world who are coming around to that. But listen, here's the thing. It's a CYA situation, and no strength and conditioning coach, no coach is ever going to be, chastised for doing too little. The guy got hurt and you haven't practiced enough. That's never going to happen. But if they think you're working guys too hard, playing guys too many minutes, and they get hurt, then you have a problem. All I know is this: we're doing less and less and less in terms of practice. We've load managed. We've given guys games off, and injuries continue to climb. Something isn't working, okay? Whether that's too many games, there can be a lot of answers, but something isn't working.
That was a heroic effort by you, keeping down that burp. Mike Ryan thought it was a yawn. I don't think it was a yawn. I think it's too many diet sodas in the morning.
Yes. Well, it's not too many because I'm on my first one, but yes.
That sounded like the carbonation. I thought that was courageous.
It was the carbonation.
You pushed it down and you fought through, and I salute you. It's why you're the lead announcer for Prime on all things basketball.
Stan, why are they practicing less? When did that start?
Well, it was a gradual thing over the years, and it just, it became the idea that, the game is more demanding, so these guys need more rest. It makes sense. It's just not working. I mean, and I think that I think you can – I don't think practices need to have the contact all the time, but I do think these guys need to be getting up and down the court on a more regular basis. I look at a lot of these soft tissue injuries, and I'm saying, wait a minute now. we shouldn't have as many pulled muscles and things like that as we have. I mean, you're not going to get away from the knee injuries and things like that. We've always had those, but with pulled hamstrings and groins and all of that, I don't know. To me, that's as much a conditioning issue as anything. There's not many people going to agree with me on this because, again, the do less is really attractive to players, to coaches, to everybody. The just do less, don't get criticized for it, show up and play games is a popular way to go about it.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. And I should remind people, Juju's got new music out today. His name has been changed from Juju Gotti to Juju Got It. And you can find it wherever it is that you find your music. You can do so by looking for the song Blue Flame. Let's speed Tony and Stan up again here because Tony's got a lot for Stan, and I want to get to it.
Stan, are we going to fall for the Minnesota trap again where they look good at the end of the season and then getting to the playoffs, they kind of fall flat and fizzle out?
No, we're not going to fall for that.
They always get us, too.
No,
I'm like, I think Anthony Edwards can do it.
No, not anymore. What else you got for him, Tony? We got to speed it up.
Are the Wizards heading in the right direction as a franchise?
No.
Doesn't even need an explanation.
Stan's gotten good at this game. Stan's gotten good at this game. What's your next question?
I would like to see if we could change the music for a second and do a stat of the day with Stan. Is that possible?
No, it is not.
Okay.
No, a third no for you. The Knicks, are you believing that they are something that can actually be for real this year and get to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yes.
Ooh, what are you believing in there? Their defense? You believing that
their defense has really started to step up, and they are an elite offensive team. So, yeah, I believe they've got a shot. I think they and Boston could be a terrific series.
Last time that you were on with us, you said that Luka was the best offensive player you had ever seen. Are you sticking to that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's he and Jokic. And I said the other night, because we had all three of them in the same game in Denver, Jokic, LeBron, and Doncic, the three certainly best all-around offensive players, can handle the ball, pass, shoot from range, post up, take the ball to the basket, pass off the dribble. I mean, those three guys are the only guys I can think of that can do everything required in the game at an elite level.
True or false, Wemby's going to start hogging all the championships?
Man, certainly possible. I don't know that anybody can totally dominate. There's going to be some good teams, but God, that team is really good, and he's unbelievable.
You don't seem to understand true or false. It's true or false.
Okay, well, I'll say false because I don't think anybody's going to hog all the championships. But if anybody's going to, it would be him.
There you go. Wait a minute. How did that get in here? Did Roy overrule me?
Commandeering the ship, Dan.
I got overruled. How do I get overruled?
I got a good
It's
stat.
like a mutiny. You better watch it, man.
Start of the day. This is start of the day. Start of the day. Start of the day. This is start of the day.
The league leader in points per possession on ISOs is not who you think it is. Obviously, we have incredible offensive prowess in the NBA. The number one person in the NBA on points per possession on ISOs is Peyton Pritchard at 1.3 points per possession on ISO ball. Stan, can you tell me how good of a season Peyton Pritchard is having if that's number one?
Well, I think what's been phenomenal, he's having a great season, but what's been unbelievable to me is this guy got his opportunity to start. They decided it would be best for him to go back to the bench, and he's played better off the bench than he did as a starter. So he's not a guy who'd spend any time pouting. He's averaged more points off the bench, higher percentage field goal, higher three-point percentage, higher free throw percentage, more assists. I mean, he's been better off the bench. Incredible. I mean, that team in what they've done and that organization in terms of developing talent and understanding talent. I should have thrown them in.
I thought that's what you were going to answer. I thought that's what you were going to answer when I asked you best front office.
San Antonio and Boston have been phenomenal. I think what all those three teams have done too is they have done a great job in talent evaluation, all three of them. And then their coaching staffs have all done an incredible job in developing players. And if you're just talking Boston, look, Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, I remember, God, I don't know how many years back, I watched them in a series against Miami, and they tried to play those guys, and they couldn't. I mean, Miami just abused both of them. And Joe Mazzulla stuck with those guys, and now they're two very important players. And then I watched Baylor Shireman as a rookie, and I'm like, God, I don't know if this guy will ever be an NBA player. Now I watch him, and, over the last 8 games here, he's averaged over 10 points a game and shooting phenomenal percentages. Neemias Queta, I think, is better for them than Kristaps Porzingis was for what they need. They just keep finding and developing players. I think San Antonio and OKC have done the same thing. That's 3 phenomenal organizations. And Brad Stevens, to me, for somebody to have the success he had coaching and then the front office success he had, there's not too many people who have done that. Obviously, Pat Riley right there in Miami has had a phenomenal success on both sides, but probably the next best behind Pat would be Brad Stevens.
You're not going to believe this, Stan, but as we were leaving ESPN, there was a giant wrestling match for our intellectual property, and we somehow were able to wrestle this away from ESPN.
And now, time for Stan Van Gundy's top NBA nugget on a
Tuesday
show. Thingy.
We're bringing back the nuggets of Stan Van Gundy. Do you have some nuggets for us?
You know what? Here's the thing. I had nuggets prepared, and then we've hit on most of them. I had my Charlotte nugget because I didn't think people realized how good they were. I will go on with I will go this, though, since we're talking MVP race a little bit. So we talked about SGA and his streak, 126 straight games. I'll give you a nugget on that. The second longest active streak, Kawhi Leonard, who we talked about, it's exactly 1/3 of SGA's streak. He scored 20-plus in 42 straight games. That's the second active streak. And by the way, Wilt Chamberlain also has the next longest streak. He had another streak of 92 straight games of 20 over. So that's a very long nugget. And then my third one is would be on Jokic. No one has ever at any point in their career had a season where they led the league in rebounds per game and had a season where they led the league in assists per game. And Jokic is on track to do that in both categories this season.
I think he's a better offensive player than Michael Jordan. People think that it's offensive to say that, but
it is.
Okay. Is it?
If you say anybody's better at anything in basketball than Michael Jordan, you are going to get a ton of pushback. I mean, it's just the Michael Jordan fans are out there. Like, here's the one I got pushback on. And I don't even see how you can get pushback on this. We could argue all day on who the best player is and everything else. But the thing you cannot argue to me is no one has had a career even close to LeBron James. No one's had a career close to him in the NBA. Now, you want to say at their prime, who's better, everything else, fine. Go ahead, argue. But you can't. I mean, this guy is going to put the scoring record out of reach, and that's not the best part of his game.
Last 2 minutes here, and it's not enough time. The state of American politics at the moment. Go ahead, Stan. Have at it.
Listen, I mean, it's it's almost unthinkable that we're where we are. I mean, it's just like, let's try to even put aside the ideology, okay, which is hard for me to do. An ideology of hate and racism and prejudice that half the country has embraced. That's unthinkable to me. But even beyond that, even if you're on that side and you're a conservative through and through, like, can we hire people that have some experience and some qualifications? Can we hire some people with intelligence? Like, I don't think you could hire a less competent administration if your goal was to be as incompetent as possible.
That's the dismount. Thank you, Stan. Always good seeing you. We miss you around here. Please make your way around here more often. We love you.
Love you guys too. Keep having fun. And I see all you're getting ready for March Madness. So am I. I'll get my assignments on Sunday and find out where I'm going.
That I love you had a question mark on it, didn't it? Like, he said that in a way that was, I love you too?
I think it was a burp that he was trying to sequester.
Again, another burp? Okay, you're right. See you later, Stan. Good
All right, guys.
Good seeing you.
Spectacular stuff.